Welcome back. This is Elite Business Live. It's our second day coming to you live from our London studio. And thank you for your questions that you've kept coming through the morning, and particularly for using the hashtag EBL2021. I'm Ollie Barrett, your co-host, and we're on the theme of talent. And as if by magic, our panel appears. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's a bit of a reunion, actually, I must say, at the end there. Kate Cox, how lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. What a year.
We have got a variety, if nothing else, on this panel, Scott. I think you're going to enjoy meeting the gang here. Some I know sort of by reputation, Elder. Actually, we've met, I think, maybe through the Great British Entrepreneur Awards.
We have indeed.
I want to hear more. But let me tell you who's here. Our theme is talent, attracting talent from all over the world, challenges, what skills are missing, and what are the secrets of some of the best employers. Let me tell you who's here. Kate Cox, you're the Chief Marketing Officer of MoneyPenny. You were thrown in at the deep end last year. You'd only just started.
I know, but here I am again.
You were first class, that's why you're back. MoneyPenny, you're looking after people. This is assistance, but of all sorts. Just remind us in a nutshell, what are you doing and for who?
Yep, so we look after outsourced communications and live chat and calls for about 21,000 customers across the UK and the US. And we see ourselves as a people business that's sort of super powered by technology. So every single person is sort of linked to their business, so they feel like an extension of their team.
Yeah, and in a sense, I mean, you're the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer. I mean, to a certain extent, marketing attracts talent as well. I mean, do you see that connection?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The reason I'm on this panel is I think our brand and what we live for, our purpose, is part of our attracting talent. So we really need to live it in our people. So our happy people equals happy customers. So
right.
Our business thrives.
So I want to get into the secrets of that shortly. Let's jump two down. Valerie Mann, you're a director of Elder, and this is about, thank goodness, treating elder people differently with I guess, a fresh perspective. Tell us how you're doing it.
That's right. So we actually focus on living care, and this is about supporting your elderly loved ones in their home. So providing the care they need, the normal supervise and specialize, but really allowing them to stay in the comfort of their home with their loved ones and keeping the routines that
so they don't need to leave their home. And what might be an example of the adjustment that you could make to help them live differently?
So very much so, keeping to their routine. So that's the difference with a care home.
Yeah.
And that's the alternative, is that you keep to the routines that they love, that make them and keep them happy, and their loved ones too.
I like it. So the way you're doing that, is that by giving them advice, by making the changes yourself?
By having carers, living carers in their home, supporting them, and really slowing this process that you can get when you go to a care home and deteriorate and do not have that social and your roots that you keep when you're at home. So
brilliant.
we actually provide carers, living carers.
No, well, thank you for doing what you're doing. Akshay Rupaerelia, you are the founder of doorstep.co.uk. I mean, I think of you as a challenger, it's fair to say, in this world of estate agents. Estate agents, I don't know why, haven't had a good reputation over the years, and I think you saw an opportunity to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I run doorsteps.co.uk, which I founded about 4 years ago. Effectively, we have the goal of, as you said, changing the perception of estate agency, because for many reasons, it's relatively archaic. Perception is quite poor, stereotypically. Actually second worst regarded profession after politicians, believe it or not. So we came to the market to try and change that. So we charge £99 to sell properties without charging commission. And now we've sold over £1 billion worth of homes, and team's grown to about 60 or so people.
Fantastic. And you're the sole founder?
That's right, yeah. So we've got a couple of really key kind of cornerstone angel investors. But yeah, sole founder, and I started the business when I was 17, so now 22. Right.
Well, congratulations. That's made us all feel extremely old. Thank you, Akshay, for that. But not Scott, because he's 26. Valerie, out of interest, that's not a Pimlico accent, is it?
No, that's a French accent.
Yes. Whereabouts?
I'm from Haute-Savoie in France.
Beautiful. Oh, no, you're giving me wanderlust again. No. All right. So our theme is talent. And what I want to understand is, are any of, in theory, if you're leading customer service at Pimlico Plumbers or MoneyPenny, you could be based in Bali, perhaps. So are any of your roles based anywhere? And if not, why not? Kate, and then we'll come back through others.
Well, for our receptionists, people who take calls, we really want them to have some connection to the office because culture is very important for us. So we do like them to be within a drive time of the office so they can come in for training, we can onboard them properly. We recruited 300 people over the last year, so we really needed to have a slick in-office and then out-of-office operations. But for other roles, we're pretty flexible. So I live in London, MoneyPenny is in Wales. I run the marketing team and have run it for the last 2 years with that discrepancy. So super flexible for certain roles about where people are based.
So in theory, just briefly staying with you, Kate, how would you feel about doing that role, the CMO role, from Sydney?
Sydney's actually a tricky one on time zones.
Yes, is right. So let's say Cape Town.
I think it's possible. I mean, I haven't been in the office for a year. Team's still delivering. We're getting new marketing campaigns out. So we're trying our best to do the work remotely. And I think some roles and skill sets, that is possible. Some not so possible.
Right, so I mean, of course, we've got, very much hands-on, some plumbing scenarios, but even for you, Scott, you've got roles that in theory could be very remote. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Kate with what she first said there. Kate, what she first said there was that we're a very traditional company, maybe old-fashioned in our ways, and company to me means company. And I'm not a great fan of working from home, I'm not going to hide that. I think your customer service or whatever department, let's all work together. You're learning skills off of each other. There's times, to be with each other and around each other. So for me, can it be done in certain areas? Yes, it can. Would we do it? No, we wouldn't.
So how local do you have to be to you to get a job at Pimlico Plumbers?
You don't have to be local at all. I mean, you can come from South Africa. I mean, if you're the person for the job and you've got the skills and the criteria and you're right and you come on to us. We've had people come from South Africa, engineers, we've had people come from Italy, Spain. We've helped them actually find places to actually
But what I mean though, Scott, is once they've come from wherever they happen to have come from, you want them to be based very close to you or relatively close to you, enough so they can come into the office.
Of course, look, I mean, time-wise, we've got people who are travelling 2 hours a day, but we want people who can come in. It's simple as that for us.
So what would go miss, just in theory though, just so we understand, and our guests will have views on this as well, what would be wrong with having somebody on the phone, getting all their training remotely, getting a really good sense of you, your dad, the team? What's missing? That sounds very possible.
Well, you're missing that company feel. What we're about. Your training, your skills, you're interlinking with people, what we're about. You're missing the ethos of it all. I personally feel so. I personally feel you need to be in it. People are working from home, and let's not kid anybody. It works for some people, Ollie, and some it doesn't. But let's be honest. I mean, I've tried working from home. All of a sudden, I think I'll go and walk the dog. Then all of a sudden, I'm going to pop out and see my mate. All of a sudden, half my day's gone, and I'm thinking, and I've put the telly on, I might watch the football. For me, you're not getting the best out of it.
That makes sense. And by the way, as we say on all our panels on Elite Business Live, there isn't one right answer.
No,
we just after what works for you. Valerie, what works for Elder?
So we're in the process of reviewing that. Before lockdown, a year ago, everybody was in the office, obviously apart from our carers who are out there across the UK. But really, we're having everybody at home has also worked for us. But what we're finding lately is the pressure that, especially from our customer service teams who are really finding it very difficult from a COVID-19, they're really facing some tricky situations with their customers. And so when you've had the whole day on the phone going through these issues, there is some kind of let-up that you need to have, and you're really suffering yourself mentally. But I think there is a link to COVID, there is a link to the situation today and the lockdown we're living in. Right. For the future, there is absolutely a possibility to have people working from home. We've proven that it works, but I do think there is a need for a base to come back to, get trained,
to bond,
get that social, really understanding the company, and then But let's have flexibility.
Right, now actually I've got my fingers slightly crossed you're going to give us the remote extremist view, but you tell me. I mean, ultimately property is an in-person thing.
Yeah, so a bit of mix of the two actually, similar to Elder. I think we've been largely very much focused on the office working environment because it's a mix of kind of sales, customer service, account management in that kind of nucleus in the office, and the team just bounce really well off each other. You know, the average age in our office is probably late 20s. Just a very useful, very energetic environment. That being said, being a nationwide estate agency, what makes us special is that we cut all the overheads of the high street offices, and we do have local property consultants that work from home. So they're the ones that actually go out and do the face-to-face work with customers.
Well, I've got to make the obvious observation that when we talk about diversity and inclusion, that means age diversity as well. So you sounded a note of pride, and why not, in the youthful nature of your workforce. And I just wonder, so Valerie doesn't say it for me, what about broadening that? Would there be benefit in that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been, and again, it depends on the roles, right? So I think we've been very much focused on hiring based on attitude.
Yeah.
So whether they're younger, older, whatever it might be, doesn't really matter. So and someone that, I think coachability is really important to us. So especially in a startup, how ingrained can you become in the company's and our vision for the end goal and supporting the customer? So our top salesperson now, for example, joined the business when he was 17 as an apprentice. One of my first members of staff, now he's 20 and the top salesperson.
So how would you feel about your next big hire being, for example, 62?
So that's actually something I'm actually leaning towards, because I'm of the mindset that I'm looking at I'm looking to bulk up the management team. My next hire is going to be operations director and or sales director, where it very much does need a lot more experience. Right. So it really depends on the role as well.
Interesting. So we're going to go a little bit quick fire, because we're going to change the subject around to hiring the very best. But Kate, because you've taken so many people on, 300 people, how do you make someone feel part of an organisation that they've just joined, even though they haven't yet broken bread with their colleagues around the same table? What's the trick?
Good question. Good question. So we hire people remotely. Yeah. Because we're looking for people who have brilliant customer service skills. Yeah. So you can do that on the phone, you can do that through Teams. When they join, we do ask them to come into the office to be trained. And that, for a lot of reasons, is so that they can get the shared knowledge and the shared people experience. And then we say, there's a choice whether they want to stay in the office based on government regulations or work from home if that is what they want to do in this pandemic situation. And then we spend an awful lot of time working on the culture. We give out wow cards for brilliant customer service. So someone sees it, they'll get nominated by colleagues. We use Facebook Workplace, which is a great tool for colleagues to interact. And we spend a lot of time and thought on random acts of kindness and giving gifts out. The whole company had brownies. We gave turkeys out for all staff members for Christmas, or a nut roast if you're a vegetarian. We did stuff for Valentine's Day. So there's a lot of energy at the senior level. This is CEO stuff, is thinking about what Valentine's gift we're giving out. We baked cookies for our employees, NHS, family and friends this year.
Yeah.
So, there's that sort of
techniques.
Stuff.
Okay. How about getting this talent in the first place? I'm going to ask you to offer a secret. It's just among friends, but you all attract the best. What's the secret? And because I'm trying to get away from, everybody does that. Scott, come on, give us a quick clue.
Secret for us, I think the best move we made was probably in 1987, and we, rather than go through agencies, we got our own recruitment team. And we've got about maybe 5 or 6 recruitment teams going through hundreds of applications a week. And they know what we expect. They know the perks, we have the gyms, so they know everything about us and they know what we're looking for. Well, I think sometimes when you're using these outside agencies, they haven't got what the ethos with the business like. So for us, without a shadow of a doubt, was two great moves. Recruitment in-house, for us was brilliant, and which we may come to, I don't know, but young apprentices, they're fantastic as well. They're the two good
So I guess one of the challenges, Valerie, when you're building an organisation is you might not be, if I may say, as magnetic as a Pimlico Plumbers that's been established for decades. To what extent does that mean you have to be more proactive in finding talent?
I was just going to say that. So we also have a ACE recruiting team. We have the two of them, and we have to be very crystal clear about our brand and who we are and our culture. And they do headhunt, and they do go out there and find the talent that we need. They're very clear about what that talent needs to be now, but also tomorrow. So that really is how we're doing it right now.
Okay, thank you. Now, actually, top tip.
I think for us, it's about building that wider purpose. And we're very clear from the outset that actually we are a startup, which means we have cash constraints on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. So if you're looking at taking a job with us just for money, to be honest, I would say if you're taking any job just for money, don't take it. And I tend to say that the minute they walk in. So pause the conversation there. It's more about, for us, a wider purpose, and being a new business, it's about setting the right example and making it very clear what our vision of changing the marketplace is and what that revolutionary fight looks like, because I found that people can really engage in that wider purpose more than some things on paper, really.
Yeah, and on that, you talked or hinted at broadening generationally, particularly bringing in that management talent. You're going to have to persuade some people to leave some pretty cushy jobs. How are you going to do that?
Well, I think for us, as part of that kind of long-term fight and vested interest is quite a big one for us. So we're setting up an EMI pot, i.e. share options.
Yeah.
So equity is a big one for us, and sweat equity on the basis that they can see the long-term future and the value of the upside that comes beyond just money, but having a real vested interest in the business.
Yeah. And out of interest, Kate, I'll come for your top tip. But Scott, when we're on this subject of perks, just very briefly, I'm just thinking sometimes it's the small things that make a difference. So
you're thinking of the massage?
Well, I wasn't thinking that. That's more hands-on experience in the plumbing trade, we call that. Now, what works? What lifts people's spirits?
I think what we're saying is when people are coming on board with you, it's not just about the money. You know, I mean, it's about, we have, free canteen, free parking, free gym, free masseurs, great pension, boat party, we have a summer parties, Christmas party. All these things really do, bring people in towards you. So I think all these perks are important. If you're going to move forward as a business, you've got to make people aware they're coming on board with you. You're part of this family, and we'll look after you.
And thank you, Scott. Where are you on this journey, Kate? Because a lot of people must apply, but Valerie makes the point about going out and getting them.
We have about 4,500 CVs that come in every year. So we've built up being an employer of choice, which is that's hard work, right, to do that. But B, it gives us really good access to the best people. We want to make sure that each of our PAs is an extension of different businesses. So if someone loves property, we want them on property clients. If someone, loves pets, they're on a vet client. So it's really about matching those people with the right business.
Good. Well, let's pause there. Thank you. If you're sending in your questions, you can just click to send those in. You can direct them to the whole panel or to someone in particular. Quick question. Why don't we go with this? What do you look for when hiring employees for your business? Obviously, everyone will have a different answer on this. Crucially, though, how important is their personality in comparison to the skills they bring? That's very good. Now, I'm going to go for a super quick answer because I do want to know what you each think on this. But we'll keep with you, Kate, and then Scott.
Cool. We look for, can we hear a smile in their voice?
Well, that's a great trait, isn't it? I like that. Yeah, but in that sense, clearly personality is important, the ability to build
attitude,
relationship.
Personality, but, are you that person who, in your voice, you can convey the kindness and care to our customers?
How about you, Scott? What are you looking for?
Enthusiasm. Simple. Get enthusiasm there. Then if they're coming as a plumber, the qualifications should be there. You're coming as an accountant, they should be there. Enthusiasm, the answer for me.
Isn't one problem, though, that we can all sort of fake enthusiasm to a point, maybe enough to get through an interview? How do you discover if it's the real thing?
Well, with no disrespect from me, I can tell somebody coming through our building, and within 1 minute I know whether you're right or you're not. I can honestly, and that's how I work, and I think my team, we don't get everybody right, but you just know. You can tell people who are going to blag, and you can tell people who are truly, and what do they know about your business? You've got all these bits and pieces, but I'll still stand by the enthusiasm.
Isn't one of the challenges, sorry to stay with you briefly, Scott, but I can see, and frankly, back to a lot of my hospitality background, if the face fit, it did or it didn't, right? There will be some skills where people aren't the best communicators, but that doesn't mean they haven't got other talents and gifts, perhaps technical, otherwise. So your I know within a minute philosophy there might mean you miss some of the best ones.
Possibly, but not many. Possibly. I mean, I would probably stand with that. There might be the odd one that gets through, but you know, you just know, and I'd stand by that.
Okay, interesting. Valerie, what do you make of this?
Well, we actually go for authenticity. So that really is something that matters to us and is a linchpin to our values. And if you're authentic, of course, the skills and all that matters, obviously. But I think that piece that matters to us is authenticity.
It's a sort of word that gets people, with all due respect, gets people nodding along because no one wants to say, no, we don't need any authenticity. But what does it mean in practice? What is it not?
Yeah, for us it's very much around challenging the status quo, feedback, being in that authenticity, meaning we always say, or our CEO Pete always says, be kind. You don't have to be nice to me, but be kind. And by being kind, you give me the feedback that I need. So it's about having that very authentic approach and in everything that we do. So we love it when people challenge us in the right way.
Yeah. Isn't the challenge there? Sorry, Valerie, I'm picking fights with everyone today. One of the encouragements there is almost to take the mask off, to let down the barriers, to be fluent in candid in how we communicate. Isn't the trick in business to be able to behave, to be able to adopt a certain persona? You know, if Scott's Plumbers walked into your house and said, well, this could do with a lick of paint, it's not going to go down very well, is it?
And that wouldn't go down with us very well either, because we're in the business of serving elderly loved ones. And so what matters to us is to, obviously you need to embrace the values and have the same ethos that we have and embrace that mission. And we do find that's how we also get talent. People embrace that mission. But yes, we will have some interesting conversations from interesting characters. But as of course this is a professional environment and that counts for that behaviour, obviously.
No, it makes total sense. Actually, what are you looking for?
I think I touched on it earlier, but coachability and willingness to learn. And I think that fits into the overall attitude, because by virtue of nature, we don't always take on people with huge amounts of property experience, because we're trying to disrupt the status quo, we're trying to change a perception. So people that are willing to learn about our ways, but also willing to learn about different abilities that they don't currently have. And nurture that over the long term is really important for us.
But okay, so that makes us a sense. How do you interview for that? How do you discover that in a process?
I think a lot of it is we do kind of a lot of, or not a lot of, but we do some shadowing and kind of a trial day usually. So we'll actually get them on the phones. Are they willing to make mistakes? What have they learned from the mistakes? If we've given them feedback on a role play, how have they taken that on? When we role play again, have they implemented the changes? So although it's a very, very tight window, and absolutely we make loads of mistakes, but I think it's a really nice way to get an insight into the people.
That's quite a cool thought, a role play. Tell me how that works.
So again, depending on the role, if it's a customer service or sales, we'll actually give them, so often we'll have something completely irrelevant. So we'll have a sales pitch on something they're not too comfortable talking about, because again, when it comes to the property market, they may not be comfortable talking about it. So selling a holiday, selling a car, or whatever it might be, and we'll do that role play interaction, or the guys on our team will a few times, and see how they come across, how they're questioning, how they're objection handling, and how do they then take our feedback on.
Nice. How about that? I mean, that sounds like absolute perfect territory for MoneyPenny, Kate. How does it play in practice?
Yeah, we do that in our training programme, actually. We ask our groups of newbies to set up their own small business and then role play how missing a really important call might be for them. So we really try and get them to think in the moment of wear their customers' shoes, so they really understand the importance of communications for them.
And to what extent does it play a role as you recruit, or is it more when they've got in?
That one is more when they get in, but
What about this thought of talent without boundaries? And I just wonder, we've been through Brexit. How confident are you that you can attract the talent you need from anywhere? Valerie, thank goodness we managed to get you here.
Yeah, I've been here for a while, so that's okay. I'm sticking here. Well, it's obviously a bit more challenging from a regulation perspective, but I think we can overcome that. The question for me is more, where do people want to go? It's the other way around, and and can we support having people working from anywhere, from a legislative tax perspective.
Got it. Particularly because, as you say, you're rethinking this. So if somebody says, please, can I work from Haute-Savoie?
That's right. Well,
you need a tax or immigration answer to that.
So that's really for smaller businesses, I think that's something to consider.
Yeah. I mean, we've had over the years, Scott, a slightly famous skills gap, haven't we? Particularly in some of the skills that you are a master in as a firm. How is it these days to attract the talent we need in this country?
Yeah, it's getting more difficult, Ollie, especially in the building and plumbing game, because unfortunately a lot of the schools, they don't really emphasise how well you can do as a plumber, or as an electrician, everything seems to be university. Go to university, got a great job. Well, it's not the case. You go to university, run up a bill, you don't necessarily get a job. You can't get an apprenticeship under your belt, you've got a job for life. So for us, we're massively on, because the skill gap's there, we're massively on dealing with apprentices. So we have about 70 apprentices at the moment. And you imagine when they come on board, like my son did, he's 25 now, but he come on at 16, he's earning £30 a day, so you're earning while you're learning.
Yep.
These apprentices don't know any other way but your way, Ollie. So you imagine they only know Pimlico. You turn up on time, you dust sheet out, you get the job done. So you're moulding these youngsters into the finished article, and the time they're 23, 24, you've got it.
Yeah, and next thing you know, they're running the company.
That's right.
Yeah, right. We go to the baton passes. But on this international question, to what extent is it harder now than it was pre the B word to get talent from overseas?
Yeah, it's more difficult. Of course it is. I mean, you can get permits, you can get around it, and it is more difficult. It is certainly more difficult. But in the same aspect, if somebody's right for your business, then you will get them there.
Right. So actually, London is a magnetic city. You want to be attracting talent, presumably from anywhere. Is anything going to get in your way, or what is going to get in your way?
I think as I said, we're looking at slightly more senior hires at the moment. So that's a journey that we're still kind of learning about and embarking upon at the moment. We sit in Greater London, so hasn't been too much of a problem thus far. But at the same time, similar to as Scott said, we're looking at the government's Kickstart scheme,
right,
as well, which is putting 16 to 24-year-olds into work. And I've actually started a separate business which helps businesses get access to the Kickstart scheme.
No, good, because that's not as easy as it looks either, is it?
Oh, no, it's nothing what the government is, no.
So just in our final few seconds, Kate, is there a sort of magic dust that you really struggle to find at the moment? I'm thinking MoneyPenny is on a formidable journey. You've talked about the personality, the smile as you talk sort of thing, but what is that elusive skill?
Oh, kindness, I think. Kindness from top to the bottom. We operate a sort of servant leadership model, so even senior management is supporting staff who are actually doing the job on the operations, and kindness throughout the company is
it really strikes me, just chatting to all four of you today, how much we could all learn from each other, actually, just in terms of plotting different ways of doing stuff, what worked for you, what worked for us over here. So I'm really grateful to that. So Kate, welcome back. It's lovely to see Akshay, as ever. Till next time I dish you out an award, probably very soon. Valerie, thank you for bringing everything to the stage, and particularly with all you're doing with Elder. And Scott, thank you so much, and thank you for doing an amazing double act there as we cut off and then regained connection with Dubai. That was great.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Onwards. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, our panel are now going to make their way off the stage to go and see my colleague and co-host Hannah Previtt for some one-to-one conversation. We've got some good stuff coming up later on in the day. 2:05, the breakout session powered by our friends at BT. That's on the Ring Central platform. Please sign up for that. What are we talking about later? Well, firstly, finances, planning different scenarios. How do you do that? What does that look like in practice? And finally, what about the massive conundrum of going global? What can we learn from Asia Pacific as a hotbed of opportunity? What could we be doing differently? If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, please spread the word. #EBL2021. For now, it's over to my co-host, Hannah Previtt.
Thank you, Ollie. Another brilliant panel. And I think this really goes to show what a challenge talent really is for small businesses, for growing businesses, and indeed large businesses. So at the Times and Sunday Times, where I spend lots of my time, we have our annual CEO summit. So some of the CEOs and leaders of, the largest companies in the world. And when we ask them what the biggest challenges are that they're facing, talent is always in the top 5. So it goes to show it really is a perennial issue. So I'm really thrilled now to be joined backstage by each of our panellists, one by one. They will come and join me up here. Scott, if I could just invite you to come and join me over here.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much for all your contributions on the panel and hearing from your dad as well.
That's okay.
Does he ever put you in hot water? Have you?
Yeah, quite often.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I see the PR stuff, I'm like, but this, he's got an opinion, as he says, and he's going to say what he thinks.
Do you think you'll follow in his footsteps in that way? Do you think you'll also be, contributing to the press, and colleagues like mine will be calling you up for some colourful quotes?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Listen, he's got an opinion, I have an opinion, and whether people like it or not, that's down to them. But no, I will be going down the same path, no doubt.
So in terms of kind of what drives you, I think Charlie is always very clear, and I love the way he's really unashamed about, it being about, kind of financial gain, right? He wanted to have the nicer things in life, is how he would put it. What drives you? So is it kind of continuing the family legacy? Is it some of those kind of material things as well? Do you like the nicer things in life? And also, kind of growing the business, I suppose. There must obviously be a huge amount of personal satisfaction in growing a successful business. So what is it that gets you out of bed in the morning?
What gets me out of bed? I mean, listen, my dad had not such a nice things, and as a childhood, I did. So don't get me wrong, my childhood was great, and I've got no problems with that. But what does really drive me is I want to keep the Pimlico tradition going. I want it to go down my family, keep it going. I'm so proud of what we got, and financial side's fantastic, and I love it. And don't get me wrong, I want to keep having the great stuff in life. That never changed for me. But what is nice is when you may go out to a restaurant, you go to a place, and people say, I've used you guys, Pimlico. What fantastic company, brilliant family-run business. So for me, which wakes me up, is I want us to stay top of the tree, and I want it to be knocked down to my family, and we all have the same values. And potential, national expansion. As a journalist, my ears are pricked listening to this. Is that something that you might be leading in the months and years to come? Well, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I asked my dad why he never done it, and he simply said, it's the, we've got so much in London we've got to get to, and I agree with that. We've still got a lot in London, but at the end of the day, my dad's coming to the end of things now at 70, 50. But at the end of the day, I'm not. I'm 50, and now it's my time and my family's time. And yes, without a shadow of a doubt, we will end up going nationally. I've got no doubt on that over the next few years, definitely. So
you will be recruiting around the country, so that will be interesting to see the talent challenges that you face in perhaps the Midlands or the North that you don't have here.
We do, but we already recruit around the country. Because our standards are so high, we are looking in Liverpool, Birmingham. People come down and stay in the base, stay in London. We help them stay somewhere. So we're already recruiting here, there and everywhere for the best. We're already doing that. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting times for us.
One last question for you. I've saved the best till last. I want to talk to you about female plumbers, okay?
Yes.
So diversity is obviously a hot topic. You don't see that many female plumbers. Are you doing anything about it when you bring in apprentices, for example? Do you have any?
It's changed. It's changed to, if you asked me that question 5 years ago, you would have had me standing there like, well, you sure? But now things are different. We've got about 12 lady plumbers out there now. They're superb. Customers ask for them as well. So people feel more comfortable with them. Going through the apprentice, we've got 70 apprentices, and maybe 20 of them are ladies now. So the tide's turning big time, and for the better, because I've got to be honest with that personal touch, they're a level above. So,
really,
yeah.
That's great news, and I hope that that's something that you will continue to kind of, really keep an eye on and reinforce.
Oh, we will be, definitely. We'll be pushing with the young ladies, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time
thank
today.
you.
We've
Thanks
really enjoyed having you.
All right, thanks
you.
a lot. See ya.
Scott
Bye.
Mullins there. So now, if I could invite Valerie to come and join me. Hello, Valerie. How are you?
Okay, good, thank you.
Isn't it exciting seeing humans in real life?
Very, very. And kicking off my leggings. I really enjoyed that.
Although some people, I think, might have a nice nasty shock when they start wearing things with waistbands again.
That's right.
So looking forward to hearing a bit more about what you're up to at Elder. It's a really challenging time. We're all aware acutely of the kind of social care crisis. And I think it's fair to say the pandemic has really shone a light on how important our care workers are to all of us. My mum is actually a social care worker, so I feel really strongly about it. So how do you really kind of throw your arms around that part of your workforce and to make sure that they're happy, they have all the tools they need to do their jobs, and that, they can deliver to the best of their ability?
Yeah, so we do quite a lot for our carers, and probably not enough, but do a lot. And this is one of our big strategic goals as well for the next year. But we have a team who supports our carers, and not just from a day-to-day perspective, making sure they're successful, making sure that they're heard when in the home of our customers. And we have a great team whose purpose is just that. We also have a carer engagement team who organizes some, especially remotely now, they organize these sessions 3 times a week where we call them carer hangouts, where they can actually share what they're going through and talk to other carers. We're building a community so that we can support them, but also they can support one another, which is not something that the industry will have been used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that kind of peer-to-peer sharing, which is, I think, like you say, a kind of industry first.
Yeah.
Do you think the perception of care and care workers has changed over the last 12 months? You know, it was viewed by some as kind of low status job, but unfortunately not helped by kind of low wages.
Yeah.
But all of us see now that incredible value, don't we?
Absolutely. I think that's really shown a light. And also, specifically for our sector, which is elderly care, there's also been this COVID crisis for care homes, and we're obviously have customers that have come our way this way. But from a carer perspective, we're very, very fortunate that we have a Care of the Week section in our All Hands every week, where we see the best carer for that month and the work that they do. We're acutely aware, I think, from a public perspective, absolutely, that has shown not only I'm just every day amazed at not just the work they do, but the resilience they have, the vocation that comes with it. It's phenomenal. So I find it's so grateful to see the light on this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to move on, but thank you, Valerie. That's
so
incredibly important. I think it's something that most of us feel really passionate about, particularly with those generations. So thank you for your time today. If you could head up in that direction. Thank you so much. Akshay, come and join me. I know the minutes are ticking away, but I have an important question for you.
Yes.
You're a young founder, I think it's fair to say, right?
Yeah.
And I remember interviewing Ross Bailey of Appear Here a few years ago. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
He founded Appear Here, I think he was 22. And you were even younger than that. And he told me that one of the biggest challenges he faced was hiring people, senior people, who were actually much older than him. And some of those kind of challenges around managing people who were older than him, perhaps had more experience, etc. Can you talk to me a little bit about that? Because you said you're making some senior hires at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a learning curve at the moment, which is really interesting. But I think we've reached a stage in the business where, I started when I was 17, knocking on doors, and I was trying to convince people to sell the biggest asset in their lives with us for 99 quid. So the age, the price, it just seemed a little bit too incredulous at the time. So I think over time I've learnt that actually the passion that I've got for the business and the credibility of what we have built so far, as well as the journey that we're about to embark upon, a combination of those, and I think it's really about my belief in the process. And I think when they see my belief, it's easier for them to imitate that. So yes, very difficult, but I think it's become slightly easier over time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you know what? I'm afraid that's all we have time for.
That's fine.
But I think that's a really insightful answer, and I think it's something that lots of young founders have definitely told me over the years that they struggle with. So thank you very much for those reflections, Akshay, there. And last but no means least, hi Kate. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
So I remember I interviewed Rachel from MoneyPenny years and years ago, and we hear a lot about the cult of the kind of entrepreneur and the founder, right? So it's all about the founder. How much is that true now, kind of in the business with Rachel and Ed, obviously her co-founder, kind of passing the baton on, and how important are they to the culture?
So they set an amazing internal culture. So the standard was like super high, and they were, and Ed's still with the business for 20 years. But what they did is hired similar people in the leadership below. So actually, I said on stage, it's sort of a servant leadership model. So the senior leadership team are really supporting the people on the ground. The operations are sort of lifeblood of our business. Joanna Swash is our CEO. She's been with the business for 14 years, and she's, living embodiment of that culture.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the other thing you could say she's a living embodiment is of the kind of personal development journey that you can have with a fast growth business like MoneyPenny, right? Because there's kind of two sides to this. You can either have an exposure to kind of lots of different skills, or in some other businesses it's quite flat because there's not necessarily the hierarchy. It can be quite difficult to navigate your way through from a personal development point of view. So are there good personal development opportunities at a company like MoneyPenny?
It's great with a growing company. So we've moved into the US. We bought a completely different company during lockdown, actually, in February 2020. So we've had a lot of learning in how to integrate new companies remotely via Teams, via Zoom, as part of our last year experience.
Wow.
But yes, at growing companies, you get a lot of opportunities to make things happen.
So that's amazing. Not content with having a pandemic to deal with, you also go for a merger.
I know, right?
Keeping you on your toes. So one last quick question for you, and I think this is one that's cropped up in lots of events I've done, is about kind of maintaining a universal employee experience, whether they're remote, whether they're in the office, whether they're doing a hybrid kind of version of the two. So we talk a lot about the customer experience, but how important is it that the employee has the same experience regardless of where they are?
Absolutely critical. Happy customers equals happy employees. The other way around. Happy employees equals happy customers. We do it. We use Workplace by Facebook. We're probably the most engaged company on there. All our staff are on it. About 100% of our staff are on it once a month, 98% once a week. And that is a really good tool for sharing, getting support, sharing brilliant moments, all that good stuff of trying to take that office culture and take it remote to keep people supported and engaged.
Okay, that's a really great practical tip to end on. Thank you so much for your time today. Some great insights there.